So I'm just going to tell it like it is. This is the bad news, and that is you are failing as a mom. Well, at least that's what your brain is telling you and trying to make you believe. How many times do you hear it either screaming at you, you're such a bad mom, or even as a whisper, oh, you're such a failure? I know all of us, moms, grandmothers, we all have this issue that we deal with. I want to show you how to silence that headache in your brain, in your mind, that is working overtime to convince you that you are doing a bad job. I want to help you change that perspective forever. Beautiful mamas. I'm Debbie Page. I'm here to help you embrace your journey of motherhood with intention, grace, and joy. And today I am really passionate about changing your mindset, this powerful mindset, changing it from one of negativity and almost hatred. I mean, how many of you have ever felt like you sort of hate yourself? Oh my goodness. I struggled with that for years. Every morning I'd wake up and I'd have a reason for not liking myself for that day. I don't know if you guys can identify it with it, but I think you can. I've had so many moms come to me. I've worked with moms through the years. I raised my own children, and now I'm intimately involved with my daughters and daughter-in-laws and grandchildren. I know that moms struggle with this. And I do think that in general, women tend to struggle with this more than men do. And I don't know if it's a contemporary society ailment. I tend to think that it is, but I don't know that for sure. So, what I want to do is help you turn these opportunities where your brain is sabotaging who you really are, turn them into moments of, of growth and joy. And as a grandmother, I see you go through these struggles. I still go through these kinds of struggles, even though for me, in the last, I'd say 4 years since I started working with a life coach, things started to get so much better with me. I didn't even realize until I started working with her how much I was sabotaging my own uniqueness, my own creativity, my own intuition. But I've seen this perspective change work even when you're feeling completely buried under life's responsibilities. One thing I learned is that life isn't happening to us. Life is happening for us. That's an important distinction. If we think about everything that is happening, if we look at ourselves as being the victim and, oh, woe is me because this is happening to me. But if we change that around and say, wow, look what's happening to me. I wonder what this opportunity is going to present itself or how it's going to present itself. 3 years ago, I was in a really difficult situation in my life. I had just lost my mother. I'd cared for her quite a lot in her last 6 months of life. She was a dear, dear friend of mine. And when she passed, oh, it was hard. And I know for any of you who have already lost your mother, that it is such a struggle, regardless of what the relationship was like with your mother, is still something very painful when you lose your mother. My mother was almost 96, so I had her for many, many years, which I feel very blessed about. But 3 years ago, when I found myself in a situation where, my mother had passed, I needed to buy a new car, I needed to get a mortgage, and my business challenges, well, let me just say they were keeping me up at night, so they were definitely not pleasant. And I was in that woe is me kind of thing. And I was not wanting to get out of bed in the morning. It was a real drudgery for me just to get up. And my wonderful coach, Gina, really helped me reframe how I was looking at things. I also at that time started listening to Wayne Dyer. I had heard of him through the years, but had never paid a lot of attention to him. I started really paying attention to him, and this is the thing that really stuck out at me. He said, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So let's think about that. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And I began to look at all of it differently. Now, grieving is very different. I wasn't even trying to change my perspective on the loss and the grieving that was going on around my mother. But what I did want to change my perspective on was this whole thing of, oh my gosh, now I have to get a mortgage. No, here's your opportunity. You can get a mortgage. You are a strong woman. You're financially independent. You can get a mortgage. Well, I need to get a new car. Well, yes, what a blessing that is. You get a new car. And I actually had some very specific things I wanted in my car and was able to get exactly what I was looking for. It was during COVID, so there were not many cars on the market, but I was able to get exactly what I was looking for. But I want to just talk to you about how this perspective shift, it helped me through these overwhelming times. I want to give you some practical ways to reframe the daily stresses in your life, change them into opportunities. And the simple language that you can change by changing your language, and it'll transform the way you look at things. It'll transform your mindset. So let's talk about this. So those 3 years ago, very hard times, very, very hard times. That was in 2022. And, I was finding myself really in a state of panic. And when I heard Wayne Dyer also say this, I was thinking at that time, I was saying, oh, I have to do this. I have to do this. Oh, I have to do this. And then I began to shift it. And I began to say, wow, oh my gosh, I get to do this. I get to do this. And I have to say that this, even now, when I think about that and how I shifted that mindset and began to wake up in the mornings and say, oh, I'm so thankful because I get to take out a mortgage. Oh, I'm so thankful I get to pick out a new car. Oh, I'm so thankful for these business challenges because they are going to help me grow as a person and they're going to help me grow my business. So the thing is, we have family obligations, we have commitments. Those things can just really weigh us down. They can feel so heavy if we're always approaching them from the standpoint of, oh my gosh, I've got to do this. Oh my gosh, I have to drive carpool again. No, let's change that. Let's say, I get to do this. I know that's really simple. It's changing the word have, HAVE, to the word get, GET. But that simple change will revolutionize the way you look at life. You're not going to necessarily be able to make this change overnight. It takes practice. It takes creating a whole new routine in the way that you think. And so what I want you to do is to start to notice those opportunities that you have where you're looking at your responsibilities as your have-tos, your dreads, your drudgery, even with laundry. I don't have much laundry to do anymore. I live by myself, so it's not like I did when I had all my young children living at home, and especially because I use cloth diapers. I had a lot of diapers that I had to wash every single day. But changing that one word from have to get and start to actually get excited about what you get to do. None of us get more than 24 hours. We all have the same number of hours in a day, and we all have a multitude of responsibilities. Now, sometimes I think our responsibilities are not nearly as hard as they were during my grandmother's era, which was the late 1800s, early 1900s, when my grandmother and my great grandmother, they had a farm, they had to milk the cow, they gathered the eggs, they slaughtered the hogs, they made their own clothes. Most of them made all of their own clothes. Some of them made their own candles, not all of them. They made their own soap for sure from the lard that they got from slaughtering the hogs, and they mixed that with lye. That's how they made their soap. I mean, life is very different now. We have so many servants in our home, even if we're not paying them. We have the dishwasher, we have the wash machine, we have the dryer, we have all of these incredible servants or slaves or whatever you want to call them that just are part of our lives these days. But again, the whole purpose of this is to say to you, change your perspective by changing your language. So changing that word from have to do this to get to do this. Say it over and over again until it really becomes a part of who you are. And you can do it in every single area. You can do it with your if you're working, if you're running a business, if you're homeschooling your children, if you're changing diapers, if you're breastfeeding, think of the ways to change that language into embracing that you get to do this instead of have to do this. So thank you so much for joining me today. I really love talking to you and helping you change the way you're looking at things, help you to look at life from a standpoint that will bring you so much more joy, looking at life with intention and letting the grace come to you. And the other thing is when we change our language from I have to do this to I get to do this, you're really changing it to a state of gratitude. And gratitude changes everything. When you, from your heart, say, oh, I get to change another diaper, or oh, I get to love this baby for these few more months before this baby turns into a toddler, and then I have other things to love. But gratitude is a very important thing. So, my challenge for you today is to choose one thing that's been stressing you out or weighing on your mind, and then take a moment to consciously think about how can I reframe this? How can I see the opportunity here? How can I see the gift in this? How can I see this as a way that I am serving other people? Because I do think that a lot of times the things that we get bogged down with are when we're having to do all of these things for other people. But again, changing it from I have to I get to. Write down your new perspective. Put it, I'd say write it down 10 times so that you have it on a sticky note in different places of your house, on every mirror that you look in. Put it on your refrigerator, put it above your kitchen sink, everywhere, so that you are training your brain to say, I get to do this. And oh, how I love it. So thanks for joining me. And if you too, like I, need to have someone who coaches you on a regular basis so that you are not only being challenged to look at what your mindset is, but being challenged and encouraged and empowered to change that mindset so that you are starting to change the way that you look at things. Click that link below and we will get you enrolled in our coaching program, whether it's the group coaching or the VIP. I'm here to help you become the best version of yourself. And until tomorrow, keep shining. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful moms.